It's the second episode on the long road to the Cheltenham Festival, and I'm going to react to, of course, the November meeting at Presby Park. Hopefully, we've got plenty of clues when we head back to Gloucestershire in 5 months' time. Frankie and Joel alongside me. And look, lots of winning favourites, and I can't believe Frankie didn't back most of them, but I think it's pretty costly for most of us because a lot of shorties going in. We weren't on the right ones, were we, Frankie?
I know. There was either first fav or second fav in nearly every race across 3 days. It was unbelievable, and it's frustrating, isn't it? You see all the people that love to back a fav and the hackers, and they're all going nuts, and you try to be clever, and we got caught out. I managed to back a few of them, but not the best weekend for selections for myself. However, a good weekend for pointers. It was a really busy weekend. I felt like it wasn't, we had one or two go in and everyone went, oh, that could be good. It was almost every other race in England and Ireland that people were going, wow, that could be a festival contender. That could be a festival contender. I guess because we've been waiting for lots of them to run because the ground's been so quick and they've had to run and they've turned up over this weekend. So it was good fun, despite being costly. And we can dissect who might be on course to festival glory.
Other than the cross-country, Joel, was it pretty rubbish for you as well, I think?
Yeah, it was. I got the place part, though. It paid 4p. So that were good. Yeah, apart from getting the race that everybody says shouldn't even exist. Right, really. We might have fluke the forecast on that, paid like 30 to 1 or something like that. Apart from that, some nice horses to watch, but nothing was winning for me yesterday. I normally don't take Frankie's route and look at the favourite and give a solid chance for it. The only favourite I backed, Dicer Enos, was beaten. So it's swings and roundabouts, isn't it? I was going for some value and it all went up this weekend.
Right, we've got loads to get in there. We're going to look at, obviously, the big race at Cheltenham and obviously what we saw over in Ireland as well. And I think the place to start is Friday's Slow Chase with Jonbon. Champion Chase, he's 7-2 favourite. He's 8-1 to the Rhino. But I spoke to a couple of different people, representatives of the media, and one was saying he's just one of them most. I just can't warm to him. He's as good as he is. I just don't seem to be able to warm to him. Somebody else says I absolutely adore him, and he's got a following. I mean, which side of the fence do you sit on, Joel?
I saw a brilliant tweet yesterday, which is very, very like this. It said, "I love this Strictly Come Dancing, but I can't warm to Test Daily." It's a little bit like this. Does nothing wrong, puts on a performance, but there's certain horses that you just can't fall in love with. Look, should be beating Edwardstone. 10 lengths. It was Sandown, it'd be 10 lengths. Boot Hill. I don't know if that was an improved performance because I thought that horse had forgotten how to jump. But how many times has Jonbon beaten Edwardstone? And there's me thinking a couple out. If Jonbon had missed the last, it might have been, I don't know what Nico was sat on. They seem pretty happy, but 7-2 and then 8-1 wouldn't carry my catch with all the Irish coming over. I mean, just does absolutely nothing for me.
Never out the first two, Frankie, and we're crabbing him.
I know. Is it the way he just looks a little bit laboured going up the hill? When I think back to him beating Al Fabiolo at Sandown versus when Al Fabiolo beat him in the Arkle, I suppose Cheltenham takes your bias, doesn't it? He's hard to back at 7. I mean, I wouldn't be backing him hand to post at 7-2. He is a real head scratcher. I don't know where I sit with him. I suppose I sit on the less enthused side because I'm not saying he's a superstar. I don't know why. He would be really hard to say that. For me, he has the beating of all the Grade 1 horses that will turn up in March. This wasn't of that standard, and yeah, I just feel like something might be too good.
Gaelic Warrior.
He weren't racing it. Gaelic. Well, I mean, if you look at the market, I mean, Gaelic Warrior probably won't go in it. Al Fabiolo battered him in the Arkle, but then got beat at Sandown, and obviously made his mistake last year. But I think he probably looks more attractive as an each-way bet. And Ergamin is getting older and older. Ilete Tomps probably go over further. Founder 50. He's my genuine each-way bet for the champion chase.
Right.
I thought he was a good weekend.
We'll mention him shortly because we're going to come to him. But I want to continue with Cheltenham and Burdett Road. We were messaging after that race yesterday, the race where Joel managed to get the only favourite beaten of the weekend in Dysart Enos. And as impressive as he was, is this the start of him going on the road to the champion hurdle, or did he benefit from a cracking ride and race fitness off the flat, Frankie?
I think you'd be getting way too excited to have him as a genuine champion hurdle contender. I mean, he wasn't giving weight away to the other two. They were all rated around 130. One's a well handicapped scouting horse, and the other, albeit Fergal's superstar, was unproven last year, never ended up going to the festival. So he was good, and he's beaten probably what he should have to win the Great Wood, but I cannot have him as anywhere near champion hurdle standard. I don't think that he's at that level personally. Oh, great for James Owen, great performance, not knocking the weekend, but you'd be mad to have him as a champion hurdle bet, in my opinion.
Joel?
When you put the question up there straight away of, was it fitness? Was it a great ride? Was it the road to champion hurdle? I think it's a little bit of all three. If we were three lads who owned that horse, we'd be standing there at the finishing line, hugging, saying we've got a champion hurdle horse here. Constitution Hill's not turning up. But looking at it from a straight head, I suppose. Fitness, good ride, great. And I think he's probably going to be, one of the best out of that race, to be honest. Just look really good for me. Champion hurdle, 28-1. Constitution Hill doesn't run what price we're looking at? 7s, 8s, something like that.
There is that to throw into the mix. There's also the thought process that he did something similar, didn't he, on his first start last season at Cheltenham, where he first started Cheltenham last season when he blitzed them, and then he got put in his place by Sir Gino. So there's that to say, can he continue forward? But there's no doubt he's improved massively on the flat as well. So it was a good performance yesterday, don't get me wrong. But as I said to you guys,
I think the way he races gets him beat. Like, he can go flat out and get 130, 140 horses in trouble that can't quite stick with the pace. But I think, using that Sergino event as an example, if you get a better horse that can go with a strong pace and then still has a finishing kick, I think that's where he gets beat. But he just goes pretty hard, doesn't he? And if you're not quite up to standard, some of them were turning home and were already being asked questions, or lots of them were, to be honest. And I'd say that's just from the pace he sets, but don't think you get away with it at top level.
Right. Well, so Gino has to go against Burdett Road now. How are you calling that? What's the distance between them?
10 lengths.
Again? I was impressed.
If Constitution Hill doesn't turn up in things like the Christmas Hurdle and it's there for the taking, and things like the Kingwell at Wincanton, I think he'll win them flat track. Although he probably will stay further, judging by his flat exploits. But he might be an each-way contender. If Constitution Hill doesn't turn up, something's got to come second to State Man. So it depends. He acts at the track. Just depends if he can continue it through the season. But there's no doubt he was impressive, although probably not as impressive as his half brother, East India Doc. I mean, I'm not sure what he beat, because there's no doubt that those others prominent in the market were disappointing. But boy, he was smashed off the boards. They knew what they had, and he absolutely bolted. What's the 18 lengths back to the second, Joel?
Yeah, all I wrote on here was wow. See this in my notes. Wow, with 2 exclamation marks. Well backed, never in doubt. And then I started looking at the horse, the Willie de Huve, or whatever it's called, the one that Willie Mullins bought, is the favourite at Cheltenham with Rich Ritchie. And I'm going, this, they're calling it the daddy, but this has got to be the daddy compared to this horse, East India Raw, which I watched. And then James Owen comes out, and I know he's on a flyer saying, I've got one at home better.
Yes, beware. I think if there's one better, Frankie, we'd love to see him out.
Yeah, I was impressed with East India Doc. I can redeem my relationship with James Owen after hammering Burdett Road. I thought he was really good. And, at present, we can only go off of the rumours from the French horses that we haven't seen. If you're a time geek, he actually ran a couple of seconds quicker than Burdett Road did. And he did it very impressively. And in contrary to saying that Burdett Road couldn't win a champion hurdle by setting a strong pace, I think you can win a triumph by setting a strong pace, because there are inexperienced horses. They throw in a few bad jumps. You get a couple of them, just panicking earlier than they'd like to. I think you can win a triumph hurdle by going flat out. And he looks like he can do that. He's a half brother. They both seem to race the same way. And James Owen seems to be good at getting them to race that way. So I was impressed. And I think he is a genuine contender, particularly given that we haven't seen what he's got to beat yet.
I assume he'll go to the December version, probably take the summer road that the Burdett Road does. But we're interested to see where this Lavender Hill mob does turn up who's last seen out of Royal Ascot. I believe that's the one that we may certainly throw that market wide open. So yeah, James had a good weekend, but at East India Dock. His weekend probably only trumped by Messrs Mason and Ferguson. The first of theirs, a load of sud threw his credentials down for the Arkle with an impressive 11th length success without even coming off the bridle, Frankie. And you were with Messrs Mason and Ferguson in Bahrain.
I know there was one thing I got right. There's a 10-second clip of me saying this is a banker. So that was about it from the weekend. He was really impressive, wasn't he? And he definitely didn't just beat trees, because Lookaway was in there, who was a shallow herder second and won on chase debut. So we know that there's a little bit of valid form to benchmark him against. He's got speed, hasn't he? And he jumps the fences well enough and keeps going at a good pace. He was really impressive for me. There's obviously the big guns in the Arkle, or potentially to run in the Arkle, like Ballyburn, Sagino, those grade 1 superstars from last year. But again, until we see them, it's hard to measure them. And visually, watching Lodesud jump, the pace he went at, the way he finished up the hill, I think he's one to be excited about. How much improvement is Dan Scouten getting out of horses? It's incredible. I mean, anything that makes a good start off of 120 to 130 with him, you might as well just back until they're done these days.
Yeah, he's 9-1. He's 9-1 for the Arkle, Joel.
Yeah, I mean, I genuinely think we can all sit here and talk about how the Irish are going to do it every year, and like Ballyburn, Sagino, Firefox, whoever turns up in that particular race. I think we've got a genuine contender on our hands this time, and you look at that. You said 9-1. Just easy cruise to victory, and again, not beating trees, as Frankie says. I put a look away at the weekend, and there was nothing really to grab. Just being beaten by a much better horse. I remember speaking to, you got to speak to Alex Ferguson on a sunbed in his Budgie Smugglers. I got to speak to him a couple of seasons ago at Haydock about this horse. Very young horse, fantastic. No, he'll do fantastic, but it was just a generic answer. I think they would be shocked of how much improvement this horse has. I saw last night it was 12s clipped into 9s again, so 12 into 9s. And I wouldn't put anybody off that. I think that'd be a nice little one that you put onto your pillow and leave till March. I'm really, really, really impressed. And I hate to say it, because Frankie was convincing me all weekend that this is the Napo of the weekend. So fair play to you.
Yeah, it was well backed into odds on favouritism. Obviously, the combination also won the Bahrain Trophy, so mega bucks for landing that where Frankie was. And then they didn't stop there, because they won the big one on Saturday as well with Il Ridoto. Now, obviously, we won't be looking at graded races for him, but you know where he's going to go. They'll go back there in December, then the one on New Year's Day, then Trials Day, and then the plate at the festival, because he just seems to love this track and trip and finally gets to win one of the big ones, Joel.
Yeah, I was trying to work out what you're talking about there. I'm trying to work out what the 4-timer would be. The 4-timer, what was the one in Bahrain called?
What is charm? Lodesud.
Spirit Dancer, yeah. So,
Spirit Dancer was like 11.
Love a bet. I do feel a bit annoyed that I didn't just say, why not? Let's have a $5 on it, seeing as I'm here.
Yeah.
I didn't back Eddie.
Even
I'm not back Lodesud, the shortest, 8 to 11.
You're right. Look,
65 to 1. There you go.
I'd like to know what Frankie thought of Protectorat. To me, it didn't look not off, but it didn't look like this was the target. First of all, because
do you mean they were all over Protectorat? They got me thinking, and I think he's the one. And what do they think about Il Ridoto, Frankie? Less keen. Do you mean that conversation?
Oh dear. Oh dear.
What do you think?
Will win at some point.
What did you make?
I mean, I've got to say, talking on this, what was actually really good to see is, Jed to Alex, obviously very, very successful. They love their racing, but they just absolutely love the game. They're out in Bahrain having the time of their lives, and then on the Saturday after they won the Bahrain Trophy, they've got hospitality in the Four Seasons Hotel. They went to an Irish bar to watch Cheltenham. They absolutely love it. And it is quality to see, because you get owners that don't even come to the races or don't engage as much, and they spend big bucks, but they're spending mega bucks, and they're as excited as anyone to go to the pub and watch Cheltenham. So that was cool. Despite Protector Arkle all but last and Ridoto winning.
Yeah, living the dream. Joel's either very still or we've lost him. But yeah, obviously it was a bit of a surprise. You said they'd fancy Protector in the punter's guide, and ended up being Il Ridoto coming home.
Yeah, I get, maybe you can't get as enthused about Il Ridoto because they probably have been excited that many times and he hasn't won it. You know, he's come fourth, third, then won it. As you said, he's turned up in the January edition, the December edition. It'd be interesting to see what they do now with him. Would they not really be like tempted to try and keep him or keep his mark sensible to go and have a crack at the plate at Cheltenham? Probably not, considering they can enjoy days out in between now and then. But it would be cool if he was a genuine contender for the festival, wouldn't it? Because he's won just about every other or placed in just about every other of these.
Yeah, he hasn't. We'll certainly be judging him and say what he does. He'll continue to run over the same track and trip, of course, throughout. But he didn't stop there as well, because Potter's Charm, obviously did Valgrand stay? That's one question. They upped him in trip, but he was probably more impressive than he was at the October meeting, Potter's Charm, and now he's got 16-1 for the Gallagher.
Yeah, maybe I'm making the mistake of, we see the English horses at this meeting, we see less Irish ones. We say they're all going to win at the festival, and then Mr. Mullins comes over and pulls our pants down again. But this was good, wasn't it? This was really good, I thought. Valgrand was backed off the boards as well. So a bit of market support there to suggest that they thought he was going to do similar to they did in October. And he looks proper, like he's a relentless galloper. If anything, he still looks a tiny bit novice. He's a bit leggy. Probably still some improvement in him. Well, I think if he gets in the battle early on, stay. I'll be getting excited about him for the festival. I think he's a proper horse. I reckon he's really exciting for his entire career. He looks pretty big as well, like even looking to the future. Can I give a shout for him now? What's the date today? As a Gold Cup winner.
2026 Gold Cup.
Yeah, someone record this.
They've said it's all about the Gold Cup. But I mean, some weekend to win the Bahrain Trophy, to win the Arkle Trial, to win the Paddy Power Gold Cup, and then to have this fella as well to keep the dream alive, Potter's Charm. I mean, fair play to them. They really have had a cracking weekend, haven't they? Before massive winners.
Yeah, unbelievable. And all with English trainers. We love to see it. Well, actually, Rich Fye will probably tell me off. He is Irish, but obviously trains here. So, yeah, it's good to have those big guns in big English stables, and all, well, certainly Potter's Charm with a proper festival chance, in my opinion. And Lotus Head, those novices. That's what you want, isn't it? They're the ones you want to be following for the year.
Certainly are, yeah. Big hope still alive then, so I'm sure they're going to have a very exciting time up until March. But of course, there's a lot of water going to the bridge between now and then. But of course, decent options for that ahead. Right. I'm going to pause here because we have lost Joel, so we need to get Joel back in because we've still got a lot to get through. Okay, Joel is back with us. We're just talking about Potter's Charm, Joel, and an incredible weekend, as I say, for Jed Mason, Sir Alex Ferguson, and all that team. I mean, how impressed were you? Did Valgrand not stay, or was he just put to the sword by Potter's Charm?
Put to the sword. Valgrand was one of my horses to follow this weekend, and for the season. I was a little bit gutted, I'll be honest with you, and they flip flopped as well. You know, Valgrand was well backed. Everybody who knew anything about racing was saying, Potter's Charm's your good thing of the weekend. And I was going, no, it's not. And they got racing early on, didn't they? Top of the hill. And I don't know if Potter's Charm stayed better or was just had a lot of class. Really, really impressed. I presume we'll go to, so it's a very obvious one. We'll go to Shallow next. And what is the 20s for the Albert Bartlett? Something like that?
16s for the Gallagher. 16s
for the Gallagher. I was really, really impressed. It's not so often you see Sam Twiston Davis sitting there on, Jamie Spencer, is it? Let's be honest. He's normally all action, and Valgrand had nothing in response. And I was really strong on Valgrand at the weekend, so I'll take that on the chin, both of them. Really impressed with Potter's Charm.
Take us on the chin then. The cross country, got to talk about it. You put up Sweet David. Is he the new Easy's Land, or was he pretty lucky?
I think he's still a one. I think the horse Michael Nolan rode that jinked, because we don't have replays nowadays. Fair play to him coming out and saying the horse jinked and all of this, and then everybody else, even Ruby, was like, well, when he watches that back, I think he'll have a different story of what happened. Look, it's not easy to make the running in a cross-country course. I mean, if you're following the map, you couldn't follow it, could you? I've no idea where you're going. You're going that way, then backing yourself. There's some cheese wedges, and here's a fence with some barrels in just to keep the sponsor happy. It's a race that I really like, and we I think we fluked the forecast with Mr. Coffee coming from the clouds as well. He looked done after two, didn't he? Really, but Nico held on to him at the back and was just getting a moment his own time, and then not necessarily flew at the end, but got up for second. Yes, to answer your question, the next Easy's land, I think. And what's he trainer? Is he 2 from 2 now at Cheltenham? Gold tweets and
runs on Saturday the day, Doc.
Yeah. So fair play. Yeah, he did say he's not coming over here for the fresh air. And was bet from 10s into 5s, and there was an instant where the rail came off as well. So Felix looked so confident. He looked more like Nico riding. He was just so confident of that. So I think there was a lot more to come. I was very, very, very impressed. But again, what did he beat? And the Fav, the original Fav, the Irish horse, what's it called?
Too much.
Yeah, too much.
You talk about keeping the sponsors up in the barrels. They didn't keep the press up. We used to get them little miniatures in the press room, and there's none of them this year.
Yeah, same was at same at the Grand National when it used to be sponsored by Martell's. I used to come out with a bottle in every pocket, and even the mouth sprays. Remember that? I'm spraying. Yeah, brilliant. Martell Grand National.
What do you make of the cross country, Frankie?
I don't know. I'm disappointed that none of us ever have put up Mr. Coffee to place exactly second. That was a nap, wasn't it? I don't think much of it, if I'm honest. I mean, the favourite was obviously just going for a little look at the fences. The winner will be put up a few pounds. I would say there's another lurking somewhere, in my opinion. I don't think that's a festival winning race.
Can I just ask, are you a cross-country snob? Are you one of those who goes to the bar at the festival when the cross-country comes on?
No, I loved it. But before it was a handicap. Let the best horse win. None of this messing around en route to the festival.
Depends on what price the Fav is, Joel.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. He still hasn't forgiven, what's it called, the little tiger for not winning.
Right, just a couple of pointers from Ireland as well. I mean, Gordon Elliott dominated, but I just want to talk about the Willie Mullins also. If you saw Aranci win on Friday at Punchestown. Now, he hadn't been seen since finishing second to Ballyburn and Firefox. That's not bad form. And then runs away with a little maiden hurdle. Okay, he was odds on for Willie Mullins. He's 25-1 for the Supreme. He's in the right colours for JP McManus. And I say, could be anything. 9-length runaway winner from the front, Frankie.
Yeah. Joel, just to put into context, I'm not being negative about every horse. When you were gone, we were raving about Potter's Charm and Lodesud. But if he was not a superstar last year as a 5-year-old and beaten 12 lengths by Firefox, does he deserve to be a superstar as a 6-year-old? I don't know.
No, he's been off for a long time since, hasn't he? That's my thinking. Were you taking with it, Joel?
Well, visually, yeah. I mean, I looked at the other race this morning. 14th win, 2-1 at Gavin Cromwell's. Will the Wise was that at Punchestown?
Yes.
So 25 for the Supreme. I wouldn't be looking at that. Can I ask one question about the Supreme? Barry the Butcher, I was given 2 years ago, was sold point to point, March 2022. Croke Park was back in second that day. Still 25-1 for the Supreme. Do we know, is he still alive? Is he in training? I genuinely don't know. I can't find out, because this was the horse. This was the next thing. 10 length easy winner on sole point to point, March 2022 with Henry de Bromhead. I cannot find any information out. He's still in the Supreme, which means he's probably still breathing. But this 25-1, I was given this last year and the year before to back, and he's not been seen since. I mean, anybody, got a search party out for him?
That's our mission then, isn't it? To find out Barry the Butcher.
I'm going to phone Henry this afternoon. I'm going to pretend I want a horse with him and tell him I've just won 200 grand. I want a cheap horse with you, and I'll find out. But going back to the JP horse, probably cut and paste to what Frankie said. Is he entitled to be top class? On visually, yeah, great, but didn't sort of get me.
Interesting, isn't it? He's a 6-year-old. Barry the Butcher's a 6-year-old we haven't seen. Redemption Day's a 7-year-old we've seen in about 10 million bumpers. There's quite a few older horses that we haven't.
Right, just to switch from Mullins to Elliott then, because he had a ruck of winners. Wingman won on Saturday, 33-1 for the Supreme. Bleu de Vassy won the Monksfield, 16-1 for the Gallagher. Found a 50. I know Frank was talking about him. He's 20s for the Champion Chase. And down memory lane is 25-1 for the Arkle as well. We'll start with you, Frankie. I know we were talking about Found a 50.
Yeah, I think he deserves his spot as a festival contender. And just from looking at the market, if people are getting interested at this point in anti-post betting, we spoke about Jonbon, Gaelic Warrior. I don't reckon will go, considering they've been talking about the King George over 3. Alfabiolo, question marks. Energumen, older. Marine National has been very disappointing and is half the price of Found a 50. Elite Tomps, similar sort of standard of as Found a 50, but has been stepped up in trip, I believe, on his chase debut. There's lots of horses basically with question marks, and Found a 50 was really good last year. Went on to win at Aintree, didn't he? And then made an impressive start, I thought, in what wasn't a weak field by any means. He's good over 2. He's good over his fences. Probably could still improve his jumping a touch. He's got a good engine. Yeah, I like him. I was impressed by the fact that he won that at the weekend, and I'd say he's one to follow over 2 over fences for the year. The other 2 novice hurdlers you mentioned were equally impressive. Both backed off the boards, both won by 10 odd lengths, and both in grade 3s, Bleu de Vassy and Yellow Clay. He unleashed a few big guns, didn't he, Gordon?
Yeah, the Yellow Clay. I didn't mention him. I'm going to mention him now. 16-1 for the Gallagher and 12-1 for the Albert Ball after winning on Sunday. And Better Days Ahead is 14 for the Brown Advisory after winning the Novice Chase and beating Slade Steel. Any of the 6 festival shortness from Gordon Elliott that you like, Joel?
I think Bleu de Vassy or Bleu de Vassy. What did it go off? 4-6. God, that was well backed. When it beat Mr. Percy 5 lengths. And I watched back to the form. He beat a horse called John the Spark by 25 last time out. That hasn't done anything since. So I think by that time of the year where you're looking at them visually impressive, but you know what you're beating. Was it 3 lengths to 40 coats? Was Wingmen. And now then again, 8-13. It's the ones that you put up, that you put the telly on a Sunday, and there's these Irish horses that are going and they're very short prices. You expect them to win, and you expect them to win well. And I think that's what we saw at the weekend. Same with Yellow Clay. So there was nothing where you go wow factor for me at the weekend. You would expect them to win, and with the ground starting to get a little bit softer and Willie Tack coming on now, it's ready for Big Willie style time, isn't it? You know what I mean? Gordon's getting them all out now before Willie just goes into a gear and a half. You know what I mean? He's in first gear, just knocks it up halfway. So, yeah.
Right. We're going to wrap up very shortly, but before, let's wind Joel up and annoy him and upset him. 4 words, Joel. Home by the Lee.
The only time I've not backed this horse. The only time I've not backed this horse. I've stood in my garden before and sent previews to you, standing there, pretending I'm in a field going, right, nap of the weekend, home by the Lee, home by the Lee, home by the Lee, home by the Lee, home by the Lee. And the one weekend I go line through, like, I can't, I don't know. I did horse racing, innit? They're not machines. That is what they say. Yeah, pretty devoed when you fall, you follow one off a cliff. Until I'm still back at Mr. Coffee.
Well, we've started him ranting. Let's try this one then. 3 words, Joel. Ile Francais.
Brilliant. If you can find 16-1 for the King George, right, you go and get it.
Is it a ploy?
What?
Is it a ploy?
Yeah, look, it's not a ploy. You see the size of that bloody fence they jump. I mean, I know the national fences are tiny, but, I wouldn't, let's be honest, I couldn't get over that. On a trampoline. I had it down to 3 horses for the King George really, really early on, and it is top of the market. It was Fast or Slow, which I believe, but the rumours are to be believed, Fast or Slow took the very soft unseat in the Gold Cup. Was no one pressed the confirm button for the entry. That's the rumour out there, so it could be supplemented. Gaelic Warrior and Ile Francais, they were my top 3. Ile Francais, right? Just go back to the Campton on Boxing Day. It would have smashed that King George field. Hewitt would have been 47 lengths back. It would have been unbelievable. So the last run of the season, Ile Francais was pulled up as if, one race too far. And then on seasonal debut was brilliant. Puts a shocker in here, stick him away for a month and a half, gets over here to Kempton, 16-1. I mean, because he's French, he's not even got a French jockey on. If he had a French jockey on, it'd be 50s. If this horse was English or Irish, would be 3-1 favourite. 3-1 favourite. Ile France beats
He might not make it.
Why is he not going to make it? He can get on the boat now, get on the plane.
Because he's ill.
He's not ill. There's nothing wrong with him. There really isn't anything wrong with him. It's not an old-fashioned ploy. There is nothing wrong with him. He made a little mistake, and James Reevely looked after him. It's what his grandmother Mary would have wanted. He was brought up in Iceland.
Right. Let's wrap up there then. Obviously, this weekend it is the Grade 1 Betfred Chase, the first Grade 1 over fences in this country. Just quickly, very quickly, is it a penalty kick for Grey Dawning now, Frankie?
I think so. And I would back him now.
Joel?
I'm so annoyed I didn't back Load of Sud when we spoke about him because he went shorter and shorter and shorter. So, yeah, I think so. Scoutons are flying, and yeah, he was good at the track last year. So,
Joel?
Yes.
That was quick. Thank you very much. Right, well, I'll go that more in depth. Look at that more in depth, of course, on the Punter's Guide on Friday. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and get notified anytime either a Punter's Guide or our Road to Cheltenham series episodes are available. Cheers to the boys. We're doing this every single week as we count down to the greatest show on turf. But join us Friday as we try to find some winners at Haydock and Ascot this weekend.